Sampling. Today I'm going to use the Roland SP-404 MK2 to record into the Akai Force with the 3.5 update and tempo changes. Sampling from the Roland SP-404 MK2 into the Akai Force 3.5 and then utilizing tempo changes. Maybe I should say utilizing tempo changes in the Akai Force with the sample recorded in from the SP-404 MK2. Maybe that's what I should say. Anyway it goes, today I have the SP-404, I have all of this stuff recording into the Akai Force. And I wanted to show you guys just me recording the sample in so you can see that I have it sped up. I have the volume turned down a little bit. I did some pre-editing. The beat that you hear in the background is the beat that we're going to make. And I'm going to do some edits to this video because this video is actually really long and I made this entire beat first in the SP-404 MK2. And then I made a different version inside of the Akai Force. So right now I'm showing you the recording of the sample in. You know, I like to do it that way. I have the audio file. I could have just dropped it on there. But I like to do that because we can make all our edits beforehand and record it in and have that already cooked into the audio. But first, let me get to this introduction. What's going on, guys? It's your brother O.T.G, Charles Paris. Real names, no gimmicks, that's me. Hardly seen, but I'm always around. And today I have the Akai Force, the Roland SP-404, and my Live 2. You might say to yourself, why do you have all this stuff on the table, O.T.G? Or you might say it to me. And I would say to you, it's because the desktop software 3.0 dropped, and I was going to do a video on it, and it made my computer crash. My computer's really good, but I had to update drivers and do all this other stuff. So I figured I'd just leave it on the table and use it like an instrument. So the OP1 goes into the MPC Live 2. The Live 2 goes into the SP-404. The SP-404 goes into the Akai Force. Again, we're utilizing quarter-inch outs into XLR ends. And so the sound is really good. I really like utilizing that way to record the audio in, especially with something like the SP-404 MK2. Right now, what I'm doing is chopping the sample that I recorded in. And I'm just trying to make sure I get pretty good loops. You know, I want to get a good loop because what I want to do is I want a step sequence and then build drums around the loop. And I'm going to show you how to do that today. And then we're going to test out how the automation changes work and if they work really well, because this is something that a lot of us who like to sample, we could definitely utilize having multiple multiple BPM changes on the Force. So I said the automation, but automation are just having different tempos in the same project. So I just exported that. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to choose the first note and I'm going to create a note. I'm going to tap into tempo. That's what I'm doing now while it's playing. We're tapping in the tempo. Now I'm going to put a note on the first square, and that's going to automatically make a clip. Boom. See, now we have a clip that's automatically made. And what I could do now is I want this to become a perfect loop. So what I could do now is use my shift and my first knob and change my BPM. If you use the shift, that will move the BPM in super fine increments until we could get a perfect loop. And so I'm going to hit shift and just keep nudging it until I get a pretty good loop. And using the step sequencer is a trick, because if I cut my loops properly, then I should be able to get a perfect 2-bar loop. You know what I mean? Or a 4-bar loop, or however many bars I have it set. You know, one thing you want to make sure is you want to turn the swing off. That's what I had to do. We don't want it to swing on the note and play it off. You know, we want it to play just straight. And another visual marker you could utilize is listening to the beat and seeing where your snare lines up on your step sequencer. You know what I mean? Make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment. Make sure you click that notification bell. If you want to support the channel, check out the MPC Stimmy Pack. It works great with the Akai Force. Everything works, 45 plus expansions, all kinds of progressions. Bro, you get a whole lot for a little, you know what I mean? Turn your Force or your MPC, boost it up and get it out of Skinnyville. Put some weight on it. You know, you can check out the master classes. I started the Force master class. This video will be in there. Every video that I make on the Akai Force will become part of the master class. And this time around, I'm going to add some basic tutorials covering screen by screen, but this thing grows organically. And the main way that I utilize my channel is to try to teach you how to make beats in a cool way that's not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but showing you different workflows and examples. So every time you sit down at your machine, you can see or remember workflows that worked and help you get to finished beats. It's not for you to make the same exact beat that I make. It's for you to see that, okay, I could sit with drums, I could start with a sample, I could utilize my other gear as an instrument, I could do this. But then once I get to a certain point, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know? All right, so what I did now is I had a drum kit loaded already. You could get one of these. This is from the Marble Rims expansion that I made from Native Instruments. It's stripped down to just all drum sounds, not a bunch of loops and extra stuff. That becomes part of the 45 expansions. You can get that in the description. All I did was search for a snare and then added that snare in there because the other snare was whack. And I'm kind of rushing through this, you know, because there's a lot of little things that I want to hit on, and especially when you are adding drums over drums. So if you're playing over a loop, you know, on this first one of the things that I noticed on the playback is you have the notorious small gap. So I fine-tuned this so much that there's still a gap at the end of when this plays. This is a great example of why you want to keep your fine numbers. I didn't round it off, but in order to get it to play perfect, it's going to probably not be like 83 flat, and I don't want to warp. I want to keep the natural timing. So that's one thing to remember. Always press shift and your first knob. So secondly, you know, remember that this music, that when you're sampling something old or wherever you get it from, if it has human drums or a human element to it, it might drift off of BPM. And this is the perfect chance or opportunity to utilize the new BPM changes. So what I just did is I copied row 1 to row 2, and now I'm going to go and edit the step sequencer. This is why this matters, why I did it that way. And now I'm going to go choose step 2, which is the second part of the loop, and I'm going to put it on the first note. I have to make sure that I'm on the right first note, and then I want to set my velocity right. All right, and see, now we have our velocity right. We could just launch from our row. And you'll notice that with this, even though it should be the same BPM, it falls off. It falls off and it cuts off. So the first thing that most people would think about doing is going and editing the sample. This is a good time where you could use tails, where you could add a tail that would loop and play in a little weird space for that little second. You can do what I'm doing now and add a little bit more at the end. This is why I use non-destructive chopping. So if there's ever a time I want to come in, I can go and edit my chops, my start and end points. But what you'll realize is the key right now is I need to probably have a different BPM. You know, and so if that's the case, now we'll go back out to the matrix. And then we're going to click the row on the right, and we're going to get a settings screen. Now, if we click settings, we could turn on tempo and set the tempo. Now, what I've learned right there, I made a mistake. So I made it work for this beat, this part of the sample. And even though it still falls off beat right here just a little bit, it gives it enough body and character to work. But maybe this is a bug, maybe it's not. But I changed the tempo there, and it changed the tempo for the whole beat, because now our first loop is off because the tempo for the whole project changed. So if I go in the right hand corner and click that, I could change our whole tempo, but instead I'm going to set it there, and I'm going to set it on the row. So now we're locked in right there, and you see we got our tempo back. So pay attention that if you set your tempo, you make that kind of change, you could lose it. Now I'm going to go over on the row and set the tempo to this tempo. And now we can switch in between. And like I was saying, even when we get to this other part, you know, that kind of falls off, you know, now that does add a little bit of character. So now I want to just show you, you know, how you can use your other stuff as an instrument. I'm not going to add anything from the Live 2, but I just want to start opening your mind up, just because you have two drum machines. Like, I could utilize the pianos on the Live 2, or just say this choir. I could turn it up super loud. I could add effects to the SP-404 and record that audio in over my drums that are in the Force, right? And then I could build out. Maybe I use 8 audio tracks, but I still want to do more. Well, that just frees up all of my plug-in tracks now. So you can utilize any external gear that you have as an instrument. You just have to think about it. I'm I'm not going to utilize this choir, because I don't want to be here for 10 hours. Once I start doing this, I really start to go down a whole nother path and just really start creating, and I'll really do very minuscule things. Like I might just add one little small note, and keep doing that over and over again and build a body up. This is the greatness of having access to multiple gear for you guys that do. If you don't, you can still get it all done on the Force, because I'm going to get it all done on the Force. You notice that I have the sample chopped up on the 404, but I'm also doing it on the Force. This is where we're making the beat, and we use the chops on the Force. So now what I want to do is I want to show you a little trick that you could do also with having external gear. If you want to, let's say on these old school beats, they sometimes have these weird little intro parts where the volume's going up and down, the speed's moving up and down. And you can emulate that in the MPC, but if you have external gear, I want to show you how you could do that super simple from, let's say, your SP-404 MKII. So right now what I'm doing is looking for whatever I'm going to use, and I'm not going to play the part that I'm going to use a part, but I'm not going to remake the beginning that I use, because I know how people are. They will go find your sample, and I know to some people I'm a nobody and my beats are trash and all, whatever the stuff you might think the worst about me. But I still believe in, protecting yourself. Who knows, the next beat you can make could not be trash, if that's how you think about things. You know what I mean? One thing about how I think about music creation, it's not really my place to tell anybody their stuff is trash. You never know what's going to inspire somebody. It's like you can never tell a person how to light their model. Some men like skinny women, some men like big women, some men like can't tell a man how to like their woman, and you can't tell a woman how to like their man, and you can't tell a person how to like their music, So right here you can see that instead of automating, I'm just doing it by hand, changing the tempo by hand, and it says 91. And it could be that, but I'm not going to worry about it. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to play the loop, get it right, and then I'm going to record it in to the Akai Force, and it's going to come in and cut the music. And then I'll show you how to get that done. So now, let's get it right. I want to be able to see what I'm doing. Got myself a little flustered. Here we go. It's hot today. Sun shining. So you can see I'm just going to touch it. It's hot today. Pause. And we are going to just record that in. It's hot today. Sun shining. Woo! My. It's hot today. Sun shining. Kids laughing. I'm going to stop it. I might not use all of it, right? So now I'm going to hit clip. We're going to go look at what we recorded in. And never forget that the MPC has a dope audio editor. There's a lot of things that it could be, and shout out to the people who find those things. I'm happy for you. And we need you. No, not being smart or one of those kind of people. Like, we need you. You guys help push things forward. You know, and when I do run into bugs, I definitely want them fixed. So I'm glad there's always a team of people out there getting it done. So here, what I want is the perfect sample plays a little bit over 4 bars. And that's okay, because in the beginning, it's going to launch on beat. So we're going from this to a beat. And we're going from the beat to this. So we just want that to work. Now, that little piece that hangs over is cool if that's how we end the song. It'll end the song perfect, right? So now we have this at one tempo, this at another tempo, and then we have our bridge, intro, whatever we want to call this piece, you know, that goes up and down with tempo. And we did all of that recorded in, and you can see how it's going to start right on the 1, and that's important, right? And so now let's go ahead and record this to the arranger. Let's start with our first part. So the arranger, you hit shift and record, and then whatever you play in real time goes to the arranger. Now, there is a spot in the menu where if you don't have the arranger row, you can bring that down and add the arranger row. It does take a row away from the rest of the grid on the screen, but for me that's okay, because I like to know that I'm recording to the arranger. I like visual cues. You know, when I have my visual cues, that means I can get lost in what I'm creating, because I can make sure everything else is kind of working without having to make sure everything's working. The worst thing in the world is to think you're recording to the arranger and then get over there and it's nothing there. So I will lose a row and just get better at navigating with the cool arrow buttons versus not having the row. And all of the times I thought I recorded a whole performance just to get over there and see nothing. You know what I mean? So with that, that's my logic behind that. While we finish doing this last couple pieces, make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment. Make sure you hit the notification bell. Commenting is really important, so tell me what you learned, what you don't learn. Oh, and I do want to say this, man. If you antagonize people, talk to people crazy, disrespect, or do anything, I'm deleting your comments. This isn't the space for that. I don't care that that drives engagement. Like, you're going to respect people, you're going to respect me. I respect the people in my comments. This is a safe space. We don't indulge in drama, beef, or disrespect. You know, you could say you don't like something without disrespecting, but, you know, there's a couple times I've seen people say some flagrant stuff, and yes, I deleted their comment 100%, and I always will. You know, so I like to live in an environment where people respect each other and we can all coexist, but I also am a girl dad and have a house full of women and come from being security-minded, managing artists, music, producers, engineers, all kinds of people, DJs. And the reason why I'm having this talk and saying that to you, because you are creative, you are a producer. If you're watching this video, you are a producer, you are a creative. And part of that is to protect your own energy. So don't let people talk to you crazy. Don't accept people telling you what your music is or isn't. You can take constructive criticism, but, you know, don't take disrespect. You don't have to. That's not how you get fans. You don't owe that to the fans. you owe to yourself to stay as creative and motivated as you possibly can. And, you know, with these machines, there's learning curves, there's issues, there's errors, all kinds of stuff. You know, so make sure you take care of your mental health and stay positive and do those things. So, you know, you guys know me, you hear it and you see it. So you see it playing multiple tempo changes. I did get a error that said it stopped when I switched. I got a little too intricate with the buttons. It did jam up, but it is beta, and that's okay. I manually fixed it. Sorry to go off on that little rant, but this will live, and I want anybody to hear that and know that from your brother who's been protecting artist creativity for over 20 years. You know, protect your own. So, you know, now I'm touching knobs. I am adding a little bit of highs, and I have been working on a master fader effects channel. I have that on right now. I want to live with it a little bit more before I show you how to set up your master fader. If you want to put a compressor or different things on there and how to save that. But you're currently hearing this beat through that. And that's it, guys. Hopefully you found some value in today's video. Hopefully your family is good. If you want to support $OG/O.T.G, check out everything I have in the description. This video will be in the Force Masterclass with no commercials and for you to download. And we got another one, guys. O.T.G.